Consumer Cellular is marketed as a low budget alternative to other major carriers in the US. It's not really, though. Consumer Cellular is marketed as having excellent customer service, which is stretch. Maybe. That's not to say Consumer Cellular is bad. It's fine, but it's really an MVNO that hopes you don't realize that it is one. Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter by reviewing Consumer Cellular, which, like I just mentioned, is an MVNO. If you don't know what that is, I made an entire video explaining just that, which I'll link to in the description, right under the subscribe button down below. But in short, an MVNO stands for Mobile Virtual Network Operator, which means it's a company, a mobile service provider that is offering services on a network where it doesn't actually own the hardware. That is a major difference from the major carriers like AT&T or Verizon, who offer network services, talk, text, and data, but they actually own the cell towers from which the service is being provided. MVNOs are essentially resellers who, because they don't have physical cell towers to maintain and often don't have physical stores to operate, it allows them to keep their costs down. MVNOs are typically prepaid, Consumer Cellular is not, and there are a lot of other differences that make it seem and act like a major carrier. But make no mistake, Consumer Cellular is an MVNO. So who is Consumer Cellular for? Well, the answer to that question answers another question, which is, should you switch to or use Consumer Cellular at all? All right, the basics up front. Consumer Cellular is a mobile provider you can use to sign up for talk, text, and data. Like pretty much any other carrier, you can use Consumer Cellular as your primary mobile service or add it as an additional carrier on a dual SIM or eSIM compatible device. Not sure what those are? Video linked in the description right under the subscribe button below. Okay, back to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at $20 monthly for 1 gigabyte of data per month, which is so low the minimum most anyone would ever want to begin with really is the next plan up, which is 10 gigabytes for $35 a month. And 10 gigabytes is a big leap from 1 gigabyte, and 1 gigabyte is so low that most of you probably won't choose that option. And I think honestly, Consumer Cellular has it there for the people who are basically going to use no data at all, but really for marketing purposes, so they can say plans starting from $20 a month, even though most of you, the majority of you, are going to be using that $35 a month plan to get at least 10 gigabytes a month, since there's nothing really in between 1 and 10 gigabytes. In comparison, Mint Mobile has a 10 gigabyte plan for $20 a month, and Visible has unlimited talk, text, and data plans for $25 monthly. Now, signing up to Consumer Cellular is a little old school. You create an account on their site, choose their plans. They were running a promotion at the time with bonus data, so I was able to get 5 gigabytes for $30. And a $5 fee for e-paying and not auto-paying, which is completely stupid since everyone pays online now, and what are we supposed to do? Like mail in a check? Unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigabytes of data in hand, I was ready to start using my Consumer Cellular plan. Consumer Cellular uses a combination of AT&T and T-Mobile's network towers, and I noticed mine would seem to rely more on T-Mobile than AT&T when given a choice. I'm not able to say for sure at all given times which towers were being used, but when I was testing in areas where there was only one or the other available and used separate AT&T and T-Mobile test devices, I was able to determine a little bit to get an idea of where my Consumer Cellular plan was defaulting to. In any event, the service will probably be as good as the tower coverage is in your area, meaning if you have good AT&T or T-Mobile coverage near your gym, for example, you should get decent service there using Consumer Cellular. Of course, that depends on which of those two networks, AT&T or T-Mobile, that your phone happens to rely on a given situation, which is entirely out of your control. That's not entirely unusual behavior. Many MVNOs use more than one network as their backbone to provide service to customers. And just know that, like other MVNOs, Consumer Cellular won't get priority on those networks. So if you go to a concert or a basketball game or just are around a lot of people, you're in a crowded part of the city, for example, and the towers nearby from AT&T or T-Mobile, they start to get crowded, those networks are going to slow down the Consumer Cellular customers and the other MVNO customers to give their regular customers priority. I didn't experience much throttling during my use. That's where data connections are intentionally slowed down by the service provider, and all in all, calls were clear and my data speeds were good. I did, though, notice that my data usage was recorded as being unusually high compared to what I use on an average month. I've talked about how mobile providers count data, sometimes inaccurately, but because of the way consumer cellular bills, which is post payment, it automatically upgrades your plan and charges you accordingly at the end of each month. I ended up paying an additional $45 when I exceeded my allotted 5 gigabytes. And that's one of the things that makes consumer cellular a confusing MVNO, and that is it is postpaid, not prepaid like most other MVNOs. One of the main draws of MVNOs is that they are prepaid, and if you're running out of data, you're warned and given an option to add more data, but not billed automatically. So if your phone budget is strict, going with a prepaid MVNO means you can precisely calculate how much you're going to spend in a given month. On the other hand, consumer cellular acts a lot like a major carrier where you pay after each month, depending on how much data and services you have used. That can make it difficult to budget and manage usage. And in other ways, consumer cellular acts like a major carrier, especially in its billing and its not so very useful mobile app for managing your account. Figuring out how to add additional features like international roaming isn't the easiest, nor is getting a look at your billing history. And I think a lot of the confusion that consumer cellular has is based on who it's marketed to: older people. And I don't say that as a knock on older people. It's just that they might not be as accustomed to something like a more minimal service like Mint Mobile, where you don't have physical stores. There are no physical people you can go take your phone to if you have questions about the service. It's all done through the app, it's all done online. And for a lot of people, especially older generations, that might just be a little bit awkward and unfamiliar. Consumer Cellular, though, has physical stores and dealers inside of Targets and Walmarts across the United States. The payment system, too, isn't all that unfamiliar from AT&T or Verizon. The marketing, say what you want about that, but they know their audience. And where you fall on that line between traditional and modern and minimalist is probably going to determine how your experience with consumer cellular goes. So if you're the kind of person that counts your gigabytes, you need a lot of data, you want to see how much data you're using a month, then you're probably not going to be so happy with consumer cellular. But if you're the kind of person that just wants a phone account, you don't really care how much data you use, you probably don't use a ton of data and you're just going to set it and forget it, then maybe consumer cellular is going to be a better choice for you. For those of you who are used to post payment plans and don't count your gigabytes because you don't need to, whether that's for budgetary reasons, you just don't care, or that you really don't use much data per month, then you'll probably be satisfied with consumer cellular. It's kind of like a set it and forget it kind of thing and doesn't really require much management. But if you do need to manage it, you can just walk into a store and get somebody to help you in person. For those of you looking for a minimalist phone service, one that's going to help you save money on your monthly bill and one that you can manage through an app, you're probably better off looking at some of the alternatives to consumer cellular. Thanks very much for watching. That's my review of consumer cellular. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week, and I will see you in the next video.